Hey guys, welcome back. Hope everybody's having a fantastic day. I will say real quick, this is not one of the results that I expected in this most recent scrim between the Los Angeles Thieves and OpTic Gaming. I am super pumped to cover this one for everybody. I will say, over the last week or two, I've started to drop LA Thieves just a little bit based off what they did in the kickoff weekend and what we've seen from them in recent scrims. I've dropped them just a tiny bit in my power rankings in that selection show. I'm not really quite sure why LA Thieves were the fourth team or the second team to be placed, but the fourth team picked overall. If I'm Atlanta, you know that if they were to play LA Thieves, that's going to draw a ton of viewership, and they probably would have beaten them, right? So I almost would have rather had LA Thieves in my bracket so that I can attract that viewership and I can get that victory. But seems right now that people, at least a couple weeks ago, thought that they were in the top four. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about, we're on board with Formal here. He basically goes triple positive in this one, and it is an absolute blowout. I think it's probably the worst hardpoint score that I have seen this year. Not off the top of my head, I certainly can't remember the score. I don't want to ruin it, but it was bad. So when it comes to the scrim overall, the scrim overall wasn't terrible. There were a couple maps, this one and Raid, that OpTic just absolutely ran away with. Raid, it was 250 to 77, and of course, this score was just a massive blowout. OpTic also won the Moscow, which is to be expected. They usually play pretty well on Moscow. And then Crossroads was 238 to 250, so just a 12-point game there. And then Garrison was 165 to 250. The best map for LA Thieves, the worst map for OpTic was Garrison. So it'll be interesting to watch that map as you're watching scrims over the next couple weeks. See if it's one that teams want to get OpTic on. It's one of those maps that definitely it's not their greatest. So will teams try to force OpTic to play that hardpoint map by way of veto system? We'll see. But as you can already see, OpTic's building a lead 48 to 10. When this map started, OpTic didn't have these original spawns for P2. They were able, in basically the first 30 or 40 seconds, they were able to push through. They were able to flip these spawns, and now they're really just slaying out mid-map. I mean, Formal's sitting here inside the hill, and nobody's even really close to him. Right there is the first time that Envoy went down out towards front map. So Formal has to shoot somebody, but there's only 8 seconds left inside the hard point. You've already got a 70-point lead. And as this comes to a close and it goes towards P3, this isn't something that I love, by the way. I know that there's some kills being traded going back and forth, but if you're LA Thieves, once P3 pops, you have to be in position there to get kills in those choke points as OpTic tries to rally in from P2, from Finn, from Tube, right? You want to be inside the hill, but you also want to be set up in choke points. There's not really any excuse for OpTic being able to just run out of P2, get time inside of P3. Right there, everybody, that's 4 down for LA Thieves, and now as you're watching OpTic, over on the right-hand side, if you're paying attention to the minimap, you're going to start to see those blue arrows push on the top left-hand side of the map. If they're able to be inside P4, push that top left-hand side of the map and get those back P5 spawns, they're going to be able to get a ton of time inside of P4. They're also going to be able to get a ton of time, and they're going to have those rotations for P5, which is one of the 2 money hills on this map, right? They already did a fantastic job of flipping and getting that time inside of P2, one of the major money hills on this map. The other one is P5. There are just so many choke points, and it's really hard to get through those choke points if you don't have those back P5 spawns. But like right now, this is just bizarre. The last 30 seconds, Formal's just sitting here in hill, not really being challenged whatsoever. Kenny does get a 2-piece there, so it's going to get a little bit more contested, but just kind of, I don't know, to me, watching Formal over those last 30 seconds, it really just felt like you were playing a public match, right? You get inside a Hardpoint, there's a lot of people that aren't trying to play the objective, you're just sitting in it for 30, 35 seconds, there's nothing really much happening. That's kind of what that felt like, but finally, LA Thieves able to get a little bit of time inside of P4. The issue is going to be as they try to exit P4, they have to run through this open space and their ARs. So Formal's going to rotate. Formal gets a nasty two-piece, barely misses a bullet right there. Everybody else is pushed up, and now they have these choke points under lock. Let's go ahead and, now listen, as we switch over here for the first time today, I know in the top left that it's not crewman. I know it's Checkmate, but I just haven't changed it. But the reason why P5 is so dominant, so you saw Formal come up off of spawn over here. He rushed mid. He was able to get a kill there. He was able to get a kill here, which basically ended that push from P4 from LA Thieves. But as they're inside of P5, this is so dominant because there's only a couple scenarios or situations that they can come from. So once LA comes up off of spawns, they only have a couple options, right? Are they going to rush here? Probably not, because if you try to get through this choke point, it's just not going to be successful. Are you going to run under mid plane? Probably not. Again, if you have somebody, so if OpTic has somebody in this corner right here, you can see all the way through. That's an easy kill for a main AR. Sure, you could go, again, if you're Thieves, you could go up top. You could go top plane and go wing. But once you get here, that's easily countered by both people that are inside of P5. If you're at wood wall, if you're inside of wood, there's not really any way that you can push from that right side of the map over towards P5. One thing you could try to do, which is a little bit more successful, is hit this long flank, which is where you saw LA trying to do off of that P4 spawn. But once you get here, now you have to get through all of this open space right here to try to get to wood. And if you do that, you better be successful, because if you're not successful, that's going to take 20, 25 seconds out of that P5 hardpoint. And if you're not successful, well, now you have to rush down by bottom map over to P5, and you've basically given away all of that time. So as we hop back in here, I do want to make sure that we're listening in. But you can just see, I mean, this is a complete onslaught. OpTic is just going off. Formal's barely missing a bullet. They're getting all the time in these critical money hills inside P2, inside P5. So with that, let's go ahead. Let's listen in and let's hear exactly what they're talking about. I'll still check back in to explain the important things that are happening around the map. But for now, let's listen into the end of this map here.
Pushing out. Waiting on wing. One's back right.
I'm in new.
Okay, one low fin, one low fin. Back right heading, stop your dead. Oh my god. Plane steps, two plane steps. Oh my god, I just shouted it. Their exit, Kenny. One could be your left, one could be your left. I think left wing as well.
Spawn wood.
Are you guys left?
One stacked.
Yo, H&D TJ.
Watch out, B search, guys.
He does H&D.
Yeah, he got me two fin one time.
He's H&D too.
They're stairs, not peeking me.
In their side, TJ can pinch
Stairs
something.
dead, one guy's B search still.
Pick it up. They're stacks.
On their side too, got him.
Nice, last guy there.
I got pinch.
Flip.
It's a half of. Still more orange, I think. Still more P2 somewhere, I think.
Backwood. I mean,
Again, just to kind of explain exactly what you just heard, P5 just came to a close. They're about halfway through the P1 hardpoint, and they were already able to just push through. You heard Formal say half flip because there were a couple that had flipped. There were a couple that were still left over on the P2 side of the map. They're able to finish those kills. It's about to rotate over to P2 in the next 8 seconds. They have spawns. They're set up in the chokes. Formal did spawn out right there, so we'll see if they're able to get these cuts, which that's the thing, right? You get a split spawn and there's only one person and Formal's coming from behind. Those are easy kills too, because everybody's going to be rushing over towards P2. Formal's just going to be shooting them in the back as they're trying to rush towards P2. And I mean, this was as dominant a map I've seen. I don't know. I honestly watch these scrims all the time. I've uploaded a video for like 500 days in a row. I'm not sure that I've seen this dominant of a performance in all of those last 500, 600 days that I've been doing this. So as we look at the score here, you can see Formal dropped 34 and 12. He absolutely popped off along with Dashy. You look across the board, TJ and Slasher didn't even get to 1,000 score. I wish we could see their KDs and their overall damage numbers, but Treyarch doesn't let us do that, so it is what it is with the scoreboard. But unbelievable performance. Down in the comments below, does this change your opinion of where LA Thieves are at? Do you think they should be, I don't know, should they be behind the Minnesotas and the Floridas? Definitely, probably the Floridas. Should they be moved back into that 6, 7, 8, maybe even 9 range? Put it down in the comments below. If you're new around here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Leave a like if you don't mind, as it always helps out the channel. And with that, we'll see you guys in tomorrow's upload.